Good morning on this hump day. It's Wednesday, which means we have a fantastic giveaway, new giveaway, as soon as Coffee with Brodes is over on my Twitter at Brodes81. And you are not going to want to miss this one. So, what's going on, everyone? Welcome on in. It's a little bit of a rough wake up, not going to lie. A little bit of a rough wake up. I do want to know, how does the microphone sound? Because I did play around with some settings compared to yesterday. So in the chat, if I can get a volume check here, is it good? Is it bad? Is it all right? Where do we stand? Where do we stand? Who won last week? I DM the winners. I DM the winners. So if you win, you get a DM. How about now? Does it sound any different? Yeah, something's going on with my mic, and I'm trying to figure it out. So I apologize. How do we sound now? Is it better? Is it worse? Better? Much better? Okay. All right. Good. I apologize. All right. Yeah, Shane Goss's pair. That's another one to discuss as well. Yeah, the ghost news. I mean, it's gotta be something else. There's still some static. I don't know what's going on. Bastard. Playing around with some things over here. All right, I can only do so much today. Still static. Good. I'm getting some goods. I'm getting some still statics. Unfortunately, I don't know what to do right now. But here's what I know. Is it at least doable? That is my question to start this off. Is it at least doable? I guess I can hear it myself, huh? If I just go into it. Okay. All right. Not worrying about it. Okay. All right. Why don't we discuss a little bit of what's happening with Shane Goss's-Pair to start things off. So with Shane Goss's-Pair, there's got to be something else. There's got to be another move. There has to be something that's coming afterwards because it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to waive someone like Shane Goss's-Pair unless there is another move coming. And the way that AV was speaking to the media, it seemed like there was a little bit of nonsense going on. Like there's something happening here. He was being a little shady. He wasn't being full on. There's got to be something with this Shane Goss's-Pair news where there is a following up here. There's a follow-up. There's something coming. There's a step 2 to the step 1. Well, if he doesn't clear waivers, yeah. But if he doesn't clear waivers, he's back on your taxi squad. I believe he skated with the Flyers, which was very strange. We'll have to see, but there's got to be something coming next. There's no way this is just one move and then that's it. Yeah, I agree. There's got to be something going on behind closed doors. It just has to happen. Do I think the trade will happen today? I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. But there's no way that you waive he's your better defenseman by default here. He's not your better defenseman because he's actually a fantastic defenseman. There's a reason why he's going to clear waivers. There's a reason why they tried to trade him for the last 2 years or so. Like seriously, the last 2 years, they kept trying to trade him. Nothing would happen. There's a reason why that is. So, I don't know when it's going to happen, but there's got to be something in the works. Is it going to be Ellis? What if it's Ellis instead of Ekholm? But you get someone who's a little banged up, but you get him for longer term, more of a veteran guy, and you get someone like long-term stay-at-home defenseman. Oh, wow. Cheers, everyone, by the way. How dare I take my first sip without cheerings to the people in the chat. Cheers to another beautiful day. Another beautiful morning in life. The cup of coffee to start it off. How about the games last night with Michigan? Huh? Look, Michigan had a chance to win that basketball game maybe 5, 6, 7 times. They missed their last 8 shots. 8 shots. That was actually a really entertaining game. It wasn't a good game of basketball. It wasn't like an actual solid performance in terms of execution, but entertainment value. UCLA versus Michigan. That was actually a dogfight. I'm listening to hear my audio on the. It's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be, so we can live with it. I'm so hyped for opening day. I think everyone's hyped, baby. I think everyone's hyped. Brodes, to get on the Anytime hotline, do you have to call right after the game? No, not necessarily, but that is when I talk about the game. So, like, if you're going to talk about yesterday's Sixers game, I'm not going to use that again because I'm not going to talk about that Nuggets game enough to have a actual phone call used. So, you know what I'm saying? So, like, if I'm doing a Sixers Nuggets post-game pod, I'm going to grab the calls that I have from that night. And then if you call the next morning, I'm probably not going to use that Sixers Nuggets call. So it is situational and it depends on things. But, yeah, that's when I normally grab it. I'm so hyped for opening day, dude. I'm so hyped for opening day. So ready for tomorrow. So pumped up for tomorrow. I don't know what direction they're going to go because someone says lineup predictions for tomorrow. I don't know. I've seen so many things now about possibilities that I don't know what exactly they're going to do. At first, I thought there's no way that Reese Hoskins doesn't bat second. Now I think there's definitely a way that Reese Hoskins doesn't bat second. And I'm interested where they put Bohm and where they put JT Realmuto. And I honestly don't know. I think we're going to see something maybe a little switcheroo from last year. So I'm excited about that. We'll see. I bet you Andrew McCutcheon's leading off. How about that? You think Bryce Harper bats third? I probably think he's going to stay put at third. I think one McCutch, Bryce Harper, 3. Then what? I know we're bouncing all around all over the place here, but the Flyers going for a goalie. Yeah, I tweeted that out. If you didn't see, and Jake here is saying, I don't want to trade for a goalie. I want at least a top 4 defenseman or a goal scorer. You're not going to get a goal scorer. All right. I mean, there's just no one out there. It's like you're going to go out and get like a lethal goal scorer at the trade deadline. Guess what? If a team has a goal scorer, they're keeping that goal scorer. When it comes to the goalie, that blew my mind. Am I that out of touch to be shocked that they were going to go out and grab a goalie here? Now, if you didn't see, Pierre LeBrun on TSN pretty much made a statement. I tweeted it out on my Twitter page. He's like, you're going to keep an eye out on Philadelphia. Keep an eye out on Philadelphia to make a call to Detroit for a possible goaltender like Jonathan Bernier. So you're telling me after all this, and here we are trying to sneak into a playoff run, what you're going to try and do, instead of fix the problems in front of the goalies, which we've seen last year when that is fixed, the goalies aren't a nightmare, you're going to go out and get Jonathan Bernier? I don't know. I'm baffled. I'm baffled by that. And he almost made it seem like, hey, we're going to shut Carter Hart down and we're just going to rock with some veterans. That's crazy. That's crazy. Austin Matthews at the deadline. Thoughts? Yeah, right. Could you imagine? Well, Matthew, if you love you some Bryce Harper in the morning, you are going to love the giveaway that we are about to have as soon as Coffee with Brodes is over. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to love the giveaway. I honestly think that that's turned into a much bigger trade. I think so too. But here's what scares me. Zach Parise wasn't a... Look at the big contracts in Minnesota is where I'm getting at here. There's a little bit inside of me that thinks he has some problems with these older veterans, giving them money, big contracts. Is he going to go out of his way and go super heavy on an older guy with a big contract, and it's going to backfire just like a couple of his contracts did in Minnesota, but they're that desperate to figure out a stay-at-home defenseman that he thinks that's the best way to do it? Like, that's kind of where I'm at, I feel. That's where I think I'm at. That's the scary part. I think he's going to overvalue someone, or he's going to give up too much, and then there's going to be too big of a contract, and I'm just afraid that we see something happen. I'm basing this off of what he did. You know, there's actual proof. There's evidence that he has done this in the past. That's what concerns me. That's where I'm scared. All right, getting back to a little bit of the projected lineups. Ethan thinks McCutcheon, Segura, Harper, JT, Bohm, Didi, Reese, Hastily. No, there's no way that's it. There's no way that's it. Segura used to bat second for this team, but there's no way that Rhys Hoskins is batting seventh. There's no way. I was thinking, if anything, McCutchen, maybe JT in the 2-hole. So I have to go McCutchen, JT, Harper, Rhys, Didi, boom. But then one of your best hitters batting sixth. But I put Didi at fifth because of the lefty-righty trying to switch that up. I guess it is possible that you could just go not worry about that and have Rhys Hoskins bat fourth, Bohm bat fifth, Didi bat sixth. But I'm more in favor of because JT's good, but JT's good for his position. People overvalue how fantastic he is when it comes to hitting. He's a nice hitter, right? He's a good hitter, but he's the best in baseball at his position. Yeah, because catchers stink. Evan thinks it'll be Kutch, Bohm, Harper, Hoskins, JT, Didi, Segura, Hasty, Nola. More realistic. I don't know if they're going to put Bohm in the 2, though. I don't know if they're going to put Bohm in the 2. 2 is what I'm interested to see. Big time. What are they going to do at 2? You could put Harper at 2, right? I mean, you could theoretically put Harper in the 2-hole and then have McCutchen, Harper, Bohm, Rhys, but then you're going righty, Didi, JT. You can play around with some things. I'm very interested. Ben Simmons. Blah. Yeah, Ben Simmons was terrible last night. Ben Simmons was just probably the worst thing I've ever seen. That was just atrocious. I don't get it. I don't understand how that is the effort you give you give us without Joel Embiid. I mean, it is flat out embarrassing. It's flat out ridiculous. I don't understand how Ben Simmons can be that bad. I got to pat myself on the shoulder. For watching the whole game last night after the first quarter. You couldn't tell me that it didn't feel like an all-star game. I understand that. I do. I was watching that whole game as well. And there was, I had the 3 TVs, so I was going a little bit of March Madness off to the side. And I threw some NHL hockey on the other TV. So I did have something there to distract me from the painful brutalness. I'm not sure if you had that same option, but yeah, with what Ben Simmons gave us, it really is ridiculous. Is it me or has Ben Simmons' defense not been that good? It hasn't been. And he was not playing because of the knee, right? Didn't he sit that one game because of the knee? Or maybe there's knee soreness involved again, where that's why he's not able to keep up, and that's why he's not able to play the defense to the level that we need him to play. He didn't blame the altitude. I think some people are taking that quote out of context. But he did make it clear that there is a big difference in the altitude. But I don't think he was blaming it by any means. I think he was just stating oh, shit, the altitude is a difference maker. But I don't think that he was saying that that's why they played that way. At least Dwight didn't get ejected. Yeah, it's just disappointing. All right, so you know that I don't get big or, high or low off regular season wins. There's a reason why teams lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers on Tuesday nights in February, because it's that mentality of, all right, here we go. We're playing a team that we should beat. And all right, I get those losses because they happen every year, all the time, to all good teams. Where I am a little confused is the fact that you don't have Embiid, but you're playing a team that is very good. You're playing a team that is very strong. You would think because of that, you would come ready to play. They didn't come ready to play. I understand not coming ready to play against a team that you're going to annihilate in theory before it starts. The Cleveland Cavs, I get it. Now, ironically enough, they're going to see the Cleveland Cavaliers next game. There's a difference because you laid 2 stinkers out there where now I need to see a little more. If you won 3 games in a row or you won 5 of 7 and then you lose to the Cavs, okay, not a big deal to me. I'm not too worried about it. But what's happened previously now has made it clear that I'm looking for something out of this Cavs game, and it better not be a stinker. So it does matter with context surrounding the game, surrounding the stinkers, on how I'm going to feel. Now, Zach says, when will George Hill play? The latest I saw was it was actually to the point where they're saying that they hope that they get 10 games out of him heading into the postseason. So you're telling me that the guy you trade for, what we're looking for now is just 10 games. That seems to be their goal. Their goal seems to be they hope that he plays 10 basketball games before the season ends for them to get some sort of rhythm with him to play. So that's kind of what they informed us. But they also said not too long when the trade happened, right? Oh, I don't want to put a timeline on it, but not too long for George Hill. Well, you're telling me he gets 10 games. Come on, right? I know we're coming down the back stretch here, but I thought we'd see more than 10 basketball games out of George Hill. Everyone chill. When Embiid comes back after the road trip, it'll give the team a massive boost psychologically more than anything else. Well, not more than anything else, physically as well, right? Physically more than psychologically, and that's the most important thing. I don't know if anyone's worried now as if, hey, this team stinks all of a sudden. I mean, they're not playing. They're on the back end of a road trip. They're 5 games into a 6-game roadie. You're playing the Clippers. You're playing the Nuggets. You're playing good teams. This is what is supposed to happen when you don't have Joel Embiid. So I don't think anyone's tampering expectations to this massive level. I think what it puts on display more, though, is how bad Ben Simmons is by himself, how bad Ben Simmons is without Embiid, how much Joel Embiid has made up for Ben Simmons' flaws. That's really what it tells you. But the crazy part is him making up for Ben Simmons' flaws puts you in the actual title contending spot. Like, that's what we thought about this team. This team can contend with the title when Joel Embiid is healthy. That's how good Joel Embiid has been playing. He can make up for the huge flaws of Ben Simmons. Despite that being an ugly game, I'm not going to overreact because it's a long season. And on that note, I like that Dwight Howard is getting himself to the free throw line more. I'm not too worried about Dwight Howard's free throw shooting and whatnot. Dwight Howard is what he is. He's not going to become anything better, anything worse at this point. He just is what he is, and he's only going to be playing 8 minutes, 10 minutes a night when it comes to the postseason. But, yeah, I mean, he's a 55% free throw shooter. I'm looking at his career. I mean, this is just what he's been literally his entire life. He's been in the NBA for 8, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 seasons now. God damn. God bless him. And his average is 56%. This season, he's shooting 55%. So I ain't worried about Dwight Howard's and his free throw shooting, what it is, what he gets. Like, this is who he is. Dwight, I mean, he's not going to get any better. All right, he's not going to get any worse. He's going to hit 1 or 2. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want Dwight Howard living at the free throw line. You know why? The other team wants him too. That's a 1-point trip down the floor. So I ain't worried about Dwight Howard and his minutes and his free throw shooting. Excuse me. Speaking of minutes, though, I was reading this as I said that. Maxey legit needs more minutes. This is kind of this is what happens when it's a blowout. And I like Maxey, and I think, he does deserve more time throughout the season. But I also understand that this is when it's go mode. This is when it's go into the playoffs and learn your rotations and, play who you're going to play your legitimate rotation. Now figure it out. If a guy's not going to be in there, is there a reason to really throw him out there for real? And the answer is no. It's time to really condense things and show this is what is going to be the rotation. This is what it's going to be. He ain't ready for that yet. Tyrese Maxey's not ready for postseason ball. So while I would like to see him throughout the games more, there's kind of this motto here of hey, you're getting ready to go into the playoffs. When that happens, you don't screw around with players that aren't going to be playing in there, right? And Tyrese Maxey's not ready yet. As of now, who could you see the Sixers playing? Good morning, Grant, by the way. And the problem is there's not big separation from 4 to 9 or 4 to 8. So there's so much movement that can happen. The Hornets are 24 and 22 in 4th place. The Heat are 23 and 24 in 8th place. So, I mean, there really is no separation at all from 4 to 8. So there's so much. I mean, any team from Miami, Boston, the Hawks, the Knicks, the Hornets, I mean, any of those teams, you can see them play. So at this point, it's so hard to tell because, you are talking about a game separation from all these teams. Yes, Clark, I do think that there is going to be a big Flyers trade coming with Ghost off waivers, definitely. Why is Mike Scott playing? Because you don't have a stretch 4. You don't have a 4. That's why. And because of Dwight Howard and Joel Embiid not being there, Dwight Howard, he had to play the 5. You're running out of bodies thing. You're not running out of bodies in that area of the position that Tyrese Maxey plays. You have those guards available for you. You have those players there. Mike Scott's playing because you don't like without Embiid. And then when Dwight Howard gets ejected, you play him at the 5. And then when Tobias needs to go to the bench, you play him at the 4. If Ben Simmons is going to play the 5, that's a lack of bodies more than it is like, hey, Mike Scott is a threat at this point. Because he ain't. And he played last night because your starters gave you such a pathetic effort. He slid in and played with the bench pieces. Ben Simmons is so inconsistent. He annoys you so much because he's so inconsistent. For like 5 to 10 games, he plays lights out offensively, attacking, being aggressive, and then he goes back to being the facilitator. Yep, that's who Ben Simmons is, right? I mean, at this point, we just got to recognize that's who Ben Simmons is at this point. He is, he's going to be inconsistent. He's not going to put his foot on the gas. He's not going to be aggressive. He's not going to look to score. But then there'll be games when he does it for 5, 6 games. And when he does, it's probably one of the most beautiful things to watch. So where are we here, Ben? Where are we? Hitcher says, what team other than the Nets scare me? Easily the Heat. I ain't scared of the Heat. A team that least scares me is the Bucks. See, with all due respect here, I don't know how you could be more afraid of the Heat than the Bucks. I'm not making it seem like the Bucks are some fantastic team, but I don't know what the Miami Heat are 23 and 24 for a reason. And yeah, they started out slow and then they dug themselves out of it, whatever, but they're still hanging themselves out under 500 right now. This is the NBA. If you're not in the first 2 seeds and then maybe the 3rd seed in the conversation, there's a reason why. 8th seeds don't win NBA championships. This isn't the Stanley Cup Finals, all right? 8th seeds don't win playoff series. I mean, it's just a reality of the situation. And look, yeah, they might have got Victor Oladipo. There's a reason why Oladipo's been on 39 teams in 8 years. The guy just gets moved, no matter how great he had that 1 year before the injury happened. I don't know how you could be more afraid of the Heat than the Bucks. I think that's a little bit silly. The Heat are they're just this year. It's like the Celtics. I think it's more of the brand recognition you're looking at, more so than the actual product on the court. Because of what happened last year, you're applying that to maybe who they are this year, and they're not the same team. They went to the NBA Finals last year, but they're not that team this year that has that. That's not who they are this season. They are a team that's struggling. They are a team that can't get into rhythm. It's very similar to the Boston Celtics. They're not a good team this year. Don't think just because of brand recognition, it's the Boston Celtics, that, you got to be worried about this and that. But they stink. They stink. They're bad basketball teams. That's what I say. Last night they were down 6 with a minute to go to the Nuggets, had their starters in, and Doc kept the reserves in. Did Doc just give up on the game, or did he think we didn't have a shot? I think he recognized the effort level. The reason why you were 6 points down was because your bench was actually playing hard while the Sixers start. Did you see Ben Simmons? Do you want to put that back out there? Do you want to put Tyrese Maxey out there? That's what Doc does. That's what Doc Rivers does. That's his identity by now. So I think that needs to be recognized. We have enough of a sample size to know when he sees something that works in a specific game, he sticks with that. If that goes against what he's done last night, what he does previous games, he's going to rock with what has been working that night. And for last night, it was Tyrese Maxey. It was the bench guys. It was those players that were giving him more effort for him to feel, I'm going to stick with those players. Tobias Harris stunk. They definitely blitzed him, started throwing pressure on him in the pick-and-roll game, and that really hurt him because he costed a lot of the Sixers' possessions. He turned the ball over. He left his feet. I think he was watching some of Ben Simmons' tape, quite honestly. He left his feet. He looked around. He tried to pass out. What happened? Turnover. Now, the reason why you don't want to see the Celtics is just because you have PTSD on playing the Celtics. It has nothing to do with how bad the Celtics are this year or how good they possibly can be. They're bad. They're a bad basketball team. And this Sixers team has learned professionally how to handle them, in my opinion. I'm not afraid of the Boston Celtics. Honestly, I think I want to see the Boston Celtics just to flip them the bird and give them a 4-game series just like they did to us the other season, just like they did to us in the bubble. The Celtics are a brutal team with no identity, no confidence at all, and they're getting smushed by bad teams in this league. They are getting dominated by squads that if they were a good team or even just an average team, they would be able to destroy. They're not good. They're below average for a reason with their record. I want to see the Celtics. You're just worried because the Celtics have beat you in the past. This is different. This is different. I think it would be like a little PTSD against the Celtics. Am I rocking the Wawa Hazelnut today? Yes, I am. It is a Wawa Hazelnut kind of day, for sure. Do you think the Sixers settled for less at the trade deadline? No, not necessarily. I don't think they settled. They could have done more, but I think they logically approached this. And it does make sense with what they did. While, look, your team was flowing. Your team was one of the best teams in the entire league. They were right under the Utah Jazz record-wise. They were the best team in the Eastern Conference. It wasn't like things were broke and you had to fix it. Your team worked, and then you just had to add to it. It is a little different. I think they really tried to go back and forth in their head of making the move with Danny Green. And when they looked at the pros and they looked at the cons, they realized that there were way more pros than cons. Maybe not way more, but just enough pros of Danny Green to keep him instead of trading him for a Kyle Lowry and what can happen the year after. I don't think it was necessarily settling. I think it was strategically analyzing where you're at and your players on your roster and doing it at a logical level. But could they have done more? Yes. I think they added the smartest way possible. Smartest way possible. So you're saying that you're confident the Sixers will beat the Heat in the playoffs. Yeah, the Heat are 23 and 24 in the 8th seed. Let me know the last time an 8th seed beat a 1 seed, if they end up being the 1 seed. Let me know the last time an 8th seed beat a 1 seed that wasn't because Derrick Rose and the entire Chicago Bulls team got injured, and then the Sixers ended up taking them and beating them due to injury. When healthy, let me know when an 8th seed in the NBA playoffs ended up taking down a 1 seed. I'll wait. Remember last year, everyone thought the Portland Trailblazers were, because they snuck in after playing that little play-in or whatever the case may be, they were going to give the Lakers a run for their money. Remember what happened? Okay. It doesn't happen. If it does, you're talking a historic failure out of the Sixers. But I'm putting them on a different level than that. I don't see them as historically failing. I see them more than that. Okay, so Grizzlies Spurs in 2010. Let's look it up. Grizzlies Spurs 2010 playoffs. We got 1994 Denver Nuggets. 2010. That doesn't even pop up. Let's see. We'll type in 8th seed NBA playoffs to win round 1. Is there a whole list of things? 2007. Yeah, I don't remember 2010. Whoever said 2010, I don't remember seeing that. No, it wasn't 2000. No, it wasn't 2011. I don't think so. What was the 2011 one? Anyway, 2007 was the last time that happened from the one that popped up here. So it's been it's 2021, people. You're talking about 2007. Let's see what happened before that as well. See the list of things. 1994. This is hilarious. 2003, 2007, 1983, 1994. So, anyway, to answer your question, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. I mean, we're literally picking like 4 times. We're talking about NBA history, and we're talking about like 4 times. Grizzlies Spurs playoffs 2011. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Was that? Okay, that did happen. 2011. So 10 years ago. So anyway, back to my point though. We are talking about 4 or 5 times in NBA history. NBA history. We're bringing up like 4 or 5 times. No, that I said that doesn't count when you're and who knows? Some of these, if we dove deeper, there's probably a possibility of there being a major injury for some of these teams. I'm not diving too deep into what happened throughout that entire playoff series, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some injuries involved in the 1983 series when something went down like this. Just throwing it out there. So my point is, back to it, 8th seeds don't beat the 1 seed in the NBA. Just doesn't happen. What contending team right now do you think has the highest chance to not even make it to the conference finals? I think the answer to that question could be like the Milwaukee Bucks. If we're looking in the Eastern Conference, I think the Milwaukee Bucks could be that squad. And then in the Western Conference, that's an interesting one. The Jazz, like I don't know. Like something tells me this Jazz team isn't going to be able to do it. But the Suns with Chris Paul and Devin Booker, they're in 2nd seed. To me, it would be like the Jazz or the Suns because like Lakers, Clippers, they have that veteran experience that you're looking for. The Jazz, they're winning a lot of regular season games, but is that going to translate to playoff basketball? We're going to wait and see. We asked if it was going to be able to be sustainable in the regular season, and it's clear that it is. But a young Donovan Mitchell leading the way, I don't know if, they do have veteran experience, though, and a Mike Conley and all, but it's totally different. Mike Conley, man, I can't believe, what is he even averaging these days? 16 points per game. He's averaging 16 points per game, man. He is 33 now. I feel like he's older than that. I'll be honest with you. I'm actually a little stunned Mike Conley's only 33. I feel like he's way older. He's just one of those guys that's been around forever. You rocking the Knapp or Torres jersey for the opener? I am not. That's funny. The Heat won't be the 8th seed at the end of the year, Brodes. Okay, so there'll still be 500. Any of these teams are going to be a 500 basketball team. They're the same team. Whether they're 7th seed or 8th seed, they considering where the 4 through 8 are right now, they're going to be the same basketball team. The division or the conference is so bad and so pathetic that if you're like 23 and 24, or if you're 24 and 23, you're 5 spots higher. Doesn't really matter if you're 5 spots higher with a 1-game difference. You're the same team, Like, what's the difference of being 23 and 24 and being the 8th seed, or 24 and 23 and being the 4th seed? You're still a bad basketball team. You are the same team. You're bad. You're not good. It's not the difference of having a 20 win difference here, right? It's not like you're adding 15 wins and then becoming the 4th seed. Now you're adding 1 win and being the 4th seed. You're jumping from 8 to 4 with 1 win. 1 win! You're still the same bad team. I'm way in over my head for what? What am I way in over my head for? What am I way in over my head? It's like, I'll be honest with you. These teams that have players that are struggling, we've seen that with the Sixers, didn't we? Wait for the playoffs. Built for the playoffs. We'll just wait for the playoffs. Remember that whole motto? Well, what ended up happening? It doesn't work out that way. We saw that firsthand. So now when it's somebody else, it works. Like all the people that are saying, wait for the playoffs. Okay, we're in the regular season. Just wait for the playoffs. And you didn't buy it. And you were right to not buy it because it didn't work. Now, all of a sudden, it's wait for the playoffs for these teams that are struggling, and it'll work. Why is it going to work when it's everybody else, but it's not going to work when it's the Philadelphia Sixers? Pretty strange. What do we got here? Oladipo isn't the answer to the Heat's prayers. He can't stay healthy, and Hero Robinson have been up and down all season. Bam is your most consistent player all season. Yeah, I mean, they're under 500. They're under 500. We're talking about a different style of Sixers basketball. Like, this is a different – at some point, you got to realize, this is a 76ers team that's on another level. They're on another level than these teams. You got to show your confidence a bit on what this team has shown you to this point. And I know it's tough after last night, after the last 2 games, to maybe give them a little bit of praise because it's been a little ugly. But come on. I mean, it's big picture-wise, they're all right. All right, so why is Mike Scott still getting minutes? I went through this a little bit earlier. I didn't know if you were in the chat then, Sean, but Without Joel Embiid and with Dwight Howard getting kicked out and all, like you're starting him to stretch the floor out. I think some of it too is to get a little bit of Ben Simmons going with the spacing on the floor. Ben Simmons has not been able to go offensively. You throw Mike Scott out there at the 5, that changes the spacing on the floor compared to Dwight Howard, who's going to sit in the paint all day, and they're going to draw a ton of attention to that area. I think a lot of that has to do with, hey, let's try and get Ben going a bit, get him going to the basket. So that's why Mike Scott plays. On top of that, personnel. Like, you just don't have the bodies right now. When you trade Tony Bradley, this and that, and you don't have Dwight, and that's kind of your option. It's either Ben Simmons plays the 5, and then you need a hole at the 4 for when Tobias Harris goes to the bench. Mike Scott plays the 4, or it's the other way around. Ben Simmons plays the 4 off the ball, and then Mike Scott plays the 5. Like, you're limited in options is my point right now. And I don't think Mike Scott has earned himself a serious role when everything starts getting back together, but you still don't have a backup 4. And is that something that they look at him as just for minutes? I don't know, obviously, but yeah, this is what it is. It's PTSD. I guess I'm just used to being heartbroken the last couple of years in the playoffs. I know it's a different team. I just want to see it first. That's fine, wanting to see it first for sure. But yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. I think you're just tying what we've seen previously, but then it's almost like we've never seen this. We've never seen this level of Joel Embiid. We've never seen this version of Sixers basketball in quite some time where, you got to be able to let your guard down. I think that's what we all have our guard up because we don't want to get emotionally hurt. At some point, you got to recognize, like, hey, this team is different. This is a different squad. That doesn't mean it's automatic that they just go win a championship, but you got to let your guard down to at least allow yourself to know and recognize that this is a team that is at the top and can compete with anybody to do it. Like, when you talk about legitimate title contenders, the 76ers are that team. They are that. They are that good. They are because of Joel Embiid. He makes up for the flaws. Ben Simmons, that's going to be the first thing. How is it going to work with Ben Simmons? Joel Embiid has been able to make up for Ben Simmons' flaws. Will he be able to continue doing it in the postseason? We'll find out. Brodes, what's the order of sports you like to watch between basketball, baseball, football, and hockey? There's a difference between just watching. The thing is, I don't get to watch anymore. I watch with a different set of eyes because now I watch in terms of like talking points, what I want to talk about and how I can talk in the podcast with it. So everything I do is surrounding the discussion afterwards, not so much pure enjoyment of the game, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, I love it. Like last night, for example, the Final Four with Michigan and UCLA. I just watched it. That was just, let me just enjoy the game. And even previously, I watched Arkansas play with college basketball because I don't talk about it as heavily and as in-depth. I just get to enjoy it for the sport, which makes it a little bit more entertaining because I'm so heavily always into like work mode with it. So if you ask me like between the sports and I'm watching it to cover it, I think it goes baseball, football, basketball, hockey. But I love them all. There's not much. It's like the Eastern Conference right now. If one of these teams is 500, and the other, it's not, well, no, it's a little bit bad of an analogy here, but my point is there's not much separation from 8 to 4 in the Eastern Conference. There's not much separation in these anyway, but I love, for some reason for me, Phillies baseball, day in, day out, the grind, 162, breaking down 162 Phillies games is my favorite. So, and that's watching it for me. Watching it is breaking it down because that's how I consume sports these days. So, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, but there's not much separation in any of those. But that's my answer. Where are we here? What does our blue line look without Ghost? Terrible. Eric Gustafson, Nate Prosser, until they figure it out. The Heat's depth will shatter the Sixers. Well, they're having trouble shattering regular season teams who stink. So if they have they're under 500. So if they are going to, and don't tell me they're under 500 because of what happened earlier in the season, they dug themselves out of the hole, and they've still been a problem since then. So they can't find ways to beat horrendous basketball teams. I don't know what to tell you. They did beat the Knicks, but then they lost to the Hornets. They lost to the Trailblazers. They lost to the Suns. They lost to the Pacers. They lost to the Pacers. They lost to the Grizzlies. They beat the Cavs. They beat the Magic. But look at that last stretch you're talking about. All right, that's who they are this year. Lost to the Hornets, lost to the Trailblazers, lost to the Suns, lost to the Pacers, lost to the Pacers, allowed 137 points to the Pacers, lost to the Grizzlies, only scored 85 points. That's their recent stretch. What do you want me to tell you? I'm just stating the facts here. I'm just stating the facts. Don't shoot the messenger. Is that what the kids say these days? Actually, they probably don't. That's probably something that is canceled. The Heat's depth. Yeah, I know. Brodes, can you throw the sweater back on and get on the ice? I wish I could, man. I really wish I could. But no, I can't. Yeah, if the Heat were that good, they wouldn't be a 7th, 8th seed. Exactly. It's like last year with the Sixers. Everyone agreed that, well, you can't, like, look at where they're falling. Look, they're a 6th seed. If they're a 6th seed, they're not going to be able to do anything. And they didn't do anything, which makes sense. But if you're going to apply that logic to the Sixers last year, how are you not doing it now with this team, right? Like, keep that same philosophy going. Keep that same discussion going. Graham wants to know if I thought JoJo Romero to the minors was a mistake. I think he'll be up very soon. I think he'll be called right up pretty instantly. Like, not instantly, but it'll be up there for real. It'll be, they know, right? Like, they know. They're not dumb. They're not stupid. They know you need another lefty. I think JoJo Romero will be up into the bullpen, but I am a little confused on what they're doing. Yes, and I hope they're not just believing that you can rock a Connor Brogdon versus lefties or a Kinsler against lefties. We need real lefties in there. They're right-handed pitchers with good numbers against lefties, but you're going to look, there's a lot of lefty power up the bat in this lineup. Please, let's be a little smarter. I think they'll be up soon, though. I would imagine he'd be up soon. You would have to imagine he'd be up soon, right? Right? You would have to think so, right? Please. Bro, you played defense in college, right? Yes, I was a stay-at-home defenseman who chipped pucks off the glass and played the PK. Did all the dirty work. All the dirty work. Are you willing to go head-to-head with Greg Cosell with your NFL draft knowledge? Unfortunately, no. No, I am not. I don't think that's for me. Who do I want the Eagles to draft? I'm okay with Horn. I'm okay with Surtain. I'm okay with Devontae Smith. It's sort of like what I said at 6. I don't care if it's Pitch, Jamar Chase, anybody of that nature at 6. I don't care at 12. Like, I see Horn, I see Farley, I see Surtain as cornerbacks that I'm interested in. Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, I'm cool with that. I saw a piece on NBC Sports Philadelphia this morning as I was waking up and just scrolling through Twitter to see what happened while I was sleeping. And here's a theory. This is Reuben Frank. A theory about why the Eagles traded down to 12. And it's pretty much saying, if you go corner to trade down to 12, if that's your philosophy, it's actually not that bad of a scenario. If you can go out and get Surtain, like, the drop-off at cornerback from at 12 isn't that extreme where when you look at the 3 corners that I just mentioned in Horn, Farley, Surtain, they're kind of all in that area. So you can snag one of those players. And if you're looking wide receiver in the 2nd round, then you can still get what that player that you were maybe looking for in that 2nd round if you were going to go not wide receiver at 6 to begin with. Like, if they weren't going to go 6, and here's another thing. There are so many quarterbacks that seem to be going up. There are so many quarterbacks that are going up that you're now selecting 12, but there's a window of good position players available because teams are jumping to play at the quarterback position. They're jumping to draft the quarterback position. We got Gil in here. What's up, Gil? The 3-batter rule has negated the necessity for multiple lefties. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. That's something that totally went out of my mind with all these rule changes last year. That is a good point. That is something to factor in with the lefties. But it's still a little odd. I still was a little shocked to see only Alvarado. Like, what happens if Alvarado gets hurt? And then now you're in a trouble spot with these lefties. But, I mean, I would – like, Dave Dombrowski has put together rosters before that made sense, that made a lot of runs, that made a serious – runs in the playoffs, World Series teams. He has built them. You would think that he is backing himself up here. There's got to be a plan for what they're going to do. Because what happens if you use Alvarado in a game against the Braves and you got to pump him out there for a little bit of a stretch, a couple how do you do's, and then the following night you're playing the Braves again, and then here comes Freddie Freeman up where you would like to go to your bullpen with a lefty, and you got nothing out there, and you're telling me you're going to rely on Connor Brogdon, who's a righty who has nice numbers against lefty, but smaller sample size. We're going to trust that, or we're going to trust Kinsler. I'm not saying it's going to be a nightmare, but I just think, like, come on, right? This is baseball. Go get your lefty up there, and then let's finish the job off. We'll see, though. We'll see how it plays out. Getting back into a little bit of this Farley thing. Farley has injury concerns right now. Horn and Surtain will go ahead. I also think they're both better anyways. Well, maybe they don't, though. Like, who knows? They could fall in that category. Like I said, there's so many people that are jumping to go get quarterbacks that pushes down the position players more, where now that category of position players you're looking at, you're in a better spot at 12. You have a better opportunity to land it than if guys weren't jumping to go get quarterbacks higher in the draft. So that definitely is, something to consider. But I would be okay with corner if they go out and get Horn, if they go out and get Surtain. I think that the Cowboys jumping in front of them, not jumping in front of them, the Eagles move back behind them. But the fact that Dallas is in front of them, they're going to probably look in that defensive way, we would imagine. So there's probably going to be one off the board there, which would be the Justin Jefferson, Jalen Reagor debate, if you will, in your own division against the Cowboys. So I actually asked this question to Ricky Bowe over the weekend when I had him on. How do I feel about the back end of the rotation? My gut feeling says one of the two will work. You took a flyer, right? You took a flyer on two guys. I feel confident that like one of the two will find its way into being a guy that will give you 5 innings, because that's kind of what you're looking for. And Ricky Bell was like, look, that's what you are looking for out of your 4 or 5. Let's not expect or anticipate something huge out of these two guys. 5 innings, have your bullpen ready, and then you got to get more out of Nola, more out of Wheeler, more out of Eflin, so your bullpen is ready to go when Matt Moore and Chase Anderson are there. But my feeling tells me one of the two will work, one of the two will be beneficial, and then maybe one flops, and then you put in a Spencer Howard eventually, or you try somebody new. Please don't tell me Vince Velasquez, but yeah, I mean, to think that both are just going to nail it out of the park, and they might have a good outing or a good first month of the season, but I'm talking 162-wise, there's probably going to be a blow-up involved out of one of these two. Like, there's a reason why you're taking flyers on them, and then Spencer Howard comes in. The Eagles' first rounder. Oh, we're going another first-round lineman. Yeah. They're not ready for the lineman yet, but lineman's not a bad option as we look at how old guys are getting. I know people don't like to hear that, but, lineman's coming. A lineman is probably going to come eventually. Matt Moore started to get smacked around against better lineups. Yeah, he had a rough outing that last one and all, but it's spring training. We don't really know what's going on with when it gets to real time. But, yeah, I mean, to expect Matt Moore to just walk in and be some stud in the majors, like there needs to be a little bit of recognizing where he's coming from and why he was in Japan to begin with. And he had good numbers in Japan, but Brodes, if you were wearing 81 and starting with Ivan Provorov, I would be that jersey so fast. So I wore 81 when I was like younger. Once I started playing junior in college, I wore 3 in junior. I wore 3 in college. So the 81 was because I was a forward back in the day. Someone took 8, someone took 18, and I put 81, and then I just rocked it forever and rocked it for a bunch of years. So I'm not like tied to 81, and it's not even that great of a number, but it was so odd and it stuck with me. So once it's still with me, I was like, all right, I'm just going to keep it going for a little bit. But once I got more, into the junior life and into the college life, I wasn't wearing 81 and looking like some bozo out there. I went for that three bomb. I went for that Allen Iverson flow. Now I got the jersey hanging up on the wall over there. I don't think I'd be fixing all the issues. I was pretty consistent on, if you want to know what I played like, if you want to know who I was Justin Braun. And I sit here and I rip Justin Braun, but that's how I played. I was Justin Braun. That's just being honest with you. 81 Brodes was a goat. Oh, man, those were the Comcast days. I am Justin Braun. That is the perfect way to describe to you my role as a player. I would not fix all the issues, unfortunately. Unfortunately. That's funny. Brodes, we need to see a man cave tour soon. Yeah, I know. So what happened was my basement flooded. I had to rip up the carpet, and we had to paint the floors. We had to get area rugs. We had to put the couches back. So the man cave was under construction, unfortunately, for a little bit of time. During that was when I had to put together this, which is my studio, where I had to get everything up on the walls for some of the echoing, and there's still an echo problem. So we're working on some things with the ceilings. But yeah, I mean, there's just homeowning. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. Did I see that McDavid hit last night? I did. If that's anyone else, I'm going to rewatch it, but I don't think it was that egregious. I mean, he was a little pissed off. A little pissed off. I think it was like a little bit of an elbow involved, if I remember correctly, right? Let's see this hit. Yeah, it was a little bit of was it late as well? Where is this? Connor McDavid. Oh, yeah. Did the elbow come up that high, though, or was that a snapback of the head on Kakiniemi? Is that his name? Why do I always butcher his name, too? Like, yeah, there was an elbow extension. I think that was a little bit of a snapback of the neck to sell it more than it was like he got pounded in the face that high. But, yeah, I mean, look, if that's Tom Wilson, if that's Brad Marchand, is there a different reaction? For sure. No doubt about it. Did it go up that high, though? Was there a little bit of that? The elbow went up high. Look, that's fine. I'm being, yes, I'll admit it. Am I going on a little bit of a reach here because it's McDavid? Yeah, probably. That should have been something that is called. There's no sugarcoating it. I apologize for even trying to go in another direction with that. But yeah, if that's Brad Marchand, if that's Tom Wilson, the outrage is hitting another level for sure. But I guess that's what you get when, one, you're a superstar, and two, you're not a dirty player. Like Connor McDavid's not known to be a dirty player. So when your resume isn't, I'm a dirty guy, when something like that happens, it's like, all right, look, it's Connor McDavid. The guy's not, the worst. He's not looking for that. But yeah, I mean, it could have been a penalty. Embiid sucks. Well, okay. We'll leave that. Oliver, congratulations. Congratulations. You made the screen. Congratulations. I don't know about my Bruins this year. Yeah, I don't think the Bruins are doing so hot. I watched them play yesterday a little bit. I was watching a little bit of the Devils-Bruins game. And you saw the turnover up the face-off dot where they went. Oh, they actually won. Holy hell. I did not realize they came back and won. When I turned it off, it was the end of the second period, and they just had a brutal turnover after Marchand just scored a really nice wrister. They did come back, but bro, do you have a favorite non-Sixer in the league right now? LeBron. LeBron is the greatest athlete my eyes have ever seen. I'm a LeBron fanboy. I have a LeBron hat that has his face on it, just his face. So LeBron James, to me, is that player that is the greatest I've ever seen. So LeBron James is easily my non-Sixers favorite player, and I root for him to win 1 million championships every single damn year. Every year. MJ is greater than LeBron. Very subjective. Very subjective. People have that drilled in their brain, so they never want to admit that there could be someone who's more an all-around better player just because they were informed that growing. It's like society. You're taught something in society where everyone just believes it because that's what you were told your whole life. Everyone just told you that MJ was the best ever. So when someone actually comes up and is better and is longevity-wise and just dominant physically-wise and the just all-around better player in majority of categories here, like almost every category, you're just drilled that MJ's the best. You were taught that from when you were one, that it's something that is just psychologically drilled into your brain, even though it's not a reality of the situation. I'm not really like a big jersey guy. There was a phase where I was, and there was a phase where I did get a little bit more into jerseys, but I kind of dipped out on the jersey life a bit. So I don't really have one where it's like that's my favorite, to be honest with you. With that being said, should I go Phillies jersey tomorrow? Maybe. It's been so long, and I mean so long, since I put on a jersey. Is tomorrow the day? I don't know. We'll find out. Cheers to no trolls today. Yeah, for real. Thank you, Pags, for the $10 donation, man. I really do appreciate all the support. You're a beauty. You're an absolute beauty, my friend. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, yes. I love you. I love you. Nothing better than just the smell of coffee and just seeing it. Oh, just seeing that heat come up into the coffee mug. It's amazing. Cream jerseys. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about. If I was going to put one on tomorrow, I was thinking about the cream jersey that I have, but I'm not sure yet. But if you are unaware, tomorrow we will have the first Phillies pregame show on Brodes Media. That's right. On weekdays, we will have Phillies pregame live, hosted by myself. Weekdays, Phillies pregame live. That starts tomorrow. Weekdays. Remember, weekdays. Phillies pregame live. So I'm super excited to get that going. That will be tomorrow. 1 hour leading you in to the games at 3. We will start at 2 o'clock. Also, because it's the first game of the year, I will be live streaming throughout the game. Watch the game with me. It's the first day. It's opening day, right? We gotta make this thing a beautiful event. We gotta act as if this is the best thing in the world, which it is. We have to act like it. It is, but we're going to respect that. We're going to respect the excitement. So we're going to have Phillies pregame live from 2 to 3. And after that, we're going to go live, and you're going to watch the game with me. So that's on the table tomorrow, Thursday. Going to be an awesome day. Going to be a long-ass day, too, because I'm going to have to record open ice hits. Going to have to do Phillies pregame live. Going to live stream the whole game, and then we're going to have to do the post-game pod. We're going to have the Sixers-Cavs game as well. We're going to do a Sixers game, post-game show as well. We got a lot on the table tomorrow. Pags, you're not a Phillies guy, dude? You're not a Phillies guy? Come on, man. Come on. You got to get it on the Phils. Don't cry when Velasquez. Come on. See, now look, Sean. Nola's on the bump, dude. Yep, coffee with Brodes as well. That's right, Hitcher. I forgot. Coffee with Brodes as well. Throw that into the mix. Thursday's going to be a busy day for me, and I'm here for it. And that's the beauty of this. It's going to be a fun day. We're going to be on there a lot. So, yeah, that's right. We have coffee with Brodes. We got pregame live. We got the actual live stream of the game. Then we got Sixers basketball and postgame shows. And it's going to be great, man. It's going to be a great day tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, Christian, you can. Why don't you, if you want to ask questions, you can ask questions in the comment section of the last episode. So if you go back to the last episode and you want to type your questions in there, I'll find it, and then we can apply that into some of our Open Ice Hits pods for sure. Hey, bro, just popped in. Why does Ben Simmons show no heart sometimes? I don't know. I wish I knew, but I don't know. It's very annoying. Hotline calls postgame? Absolutely. Hotline calls postgame, my friend. Always hotline calls. Always. Pack says, not a baseball guy in general. Need a lot of beers to watch. So what we're going to do is, if you're just someone who watches baseball to see the ball get hit, we're going to have to pick your brain a bit, Pags. We're going to have to start maneuvering the thoughts a little bit about baseball. You got to study what's happening. Once you start studying what's happening, you're watching a different game. Now it's a different version of baseball. You're not just sitting there waiting to see if Bryce Harper hits a pitch. You got to study. You got to analyze what was thrown last time to him. Ooh, the last time he was up to bat, it was a 1-2 count. What was thrown? Was it outside? Was it inside? Was it off speed? Were they trying to use a fastball? Don't do that. Bryce Harper's going to smash it. You got to start studying what happened previously, and that changes your whole entire mindset on the game, and it brings a different entertainment value. If you just sit there and wait and watch, that's that's where baseball loses its magic, because you're missing out on half the game. By the way, Daniel thinks the Kardashians are why Ben Simmons stinks. I watch the Kardashians all the time, every single season, and I don't have an issue. Just saying. Don't tell me the Kardashians are a problem to Ben Simmons. I won't buy it. I won't buy it. Teach me the ways. I'm open to it. All my friends love it. Exactly. That's what you need to do. And I see you in Coffee with Brodes every day, of course, and I love it. If you start joining the Phillies pregame lives and all, and you just start listening, I think you'll casually just start picking it up and you'll start enjoying it more. I wanted the Stone Cold Stunner Ben Simmons last night. Jeez, Stone Cold Stunner. That's amazing. That is amazing. I've seen so many WWE and WWF stuff lately all over my Twitter feed, which is just weird because that's, not to, I mean, I was into it back in the day with like Rey Mysterio, Booker T, like that era of wrestling, but nothing to the point where it should be popping up on my timeline. Like Rob Van Dam's popping up on my timeline because he's making the Hall of Fame. Like what? Rob Van Dam? Crazy. All right, but with that being said, it's 1 hour into the show. Coffee with Brodes is ending. Here's what I want to let you know before we end the stream. One, in a couple of moments, you are going to want to go to my Twitter, @Brodes81. All I'm saying is there is a Bryce Harper apparel that you are not going to want to miss for this week's giveaway. It's a big one. It's a doozy. Make sure you're over on my Twitter page. Keep in mind, we have the Phillies pregame show tomorrow, 2 to 3, leading you into Phillies baseball. You are not going to want to miss it. I am live streaming the game. You are not going to want to miss it. So much happening tomorrow. Also, Coffee with Brodes in the morning to discuss even further. But just be aware of the exciting day that will be happening tomorrow with Brodes Media. All right? So thank everyone so much. Thank you. You're all the best. And I'll be seeing you guys soon. Thank you so much for the day. Awesome way to start the day.